Payday 3 is here and it's so good. As a longtime fan of the Payday series, the announcement of Payday 3 sent me reeling. The open beta is this weekend, so I put that straight on my SSD, grabbed a friend, and jumped right in. Well, tried to, but we'll get there. Firstly, let's point out the obvious. This video is purely my opinion. Your experience may, of course, be different. Secondly, it's important to remember that this is a beta build of the game. Some of the bugs encountered in the beta may not be present in the final product. Lastly, spoilers, I like the game. So enough bumbling around, here is my experience with the first day of the Payday 3 open beta. Starting off strong, the hype comes to a grinding halt as I realize I have to sign up for a Starbreeze Nebula account and connect that to Steam. 10 minutes of fiddling around later and my friend and I encounter a very painful bug. We just can't join each other's lobbies. Not in-game or through Steam, which for a party-based co-op game like Payday is extremely frustrating and a little disheartening. Not only that, but joining my first match-made game, since there's no offline play or private matches allowed yet, just didn't begin after the countdown. Really not off to a good start here. But again, this is a server stress test, so we weren't too mad about it. Eventually, the issue fixed itself, and we rolled into our first game. Everything from here was, more or less, smooth sailing. The gameplay, the graphics, the little details on the player physics, and bumping into civilians all made Payday 3 a glorious experience. Initially, moving around and relearning the controls felt a bit strange. Some keys had been rebound by default, so accidental grenades found themselves in the middle of teammates more often than not. Regardless, once we got used to the controls, it felt like classic Payday. Lots of bullets, lots of cops, and lots of money. Besides some particularly bullet-spongy cops, Payday 3 actually felt quite similar to 2 in many aspects, just with a shiny coat of paint. Not in every way, mind you. In fact, the biggest change between the two is the new engine. Gone are the days of dealing with diesel engine jank, and now we celebrate the Unreal Engine in all its glory. Praise be. With that said, there is a level of charm missing from Payday 3. Part of me is actually going to miss Diesel, though that could just be the Stockholm Syndrome setting in. Through the beta, you'll lock to a very small selection of equipment. Basic Kar9 assault rifle, SIG-40, a couple of grenades, and your choice of a medkit or ammo box. You also only have access to one music track and one heist, no rest for the wicked, which is your stock standard welcome to crime bank job. It's a great starting heist with both stealth and loud options, not too overwhelming as it introduces new players to both interior and exterior objectives, and there's very little randomization, so it's a great tutorial for practicing. I admit, on my first go, I spent a lot of time bumble farting around, trying to figure out the new controls and get used to the movement. There are some very welcome movement changes here, including a mantle system, so you don't yeet yourself off buildings trying to do some janky parkour, and a slide mechanic, allowing you to feel a bit more like an action movie star. Once I got back into the swing of things, I felt right at home. Banging music, civilian domination, and cool gunplay, including the addition of a new overkill weapon that acts like an ultimate ability. On the note of weapons, I mentioned earlier very bullet-spongy cops. I have no idea if this is just a bug with enemy health being turned up way too high, or if they've introduced a new armor system, but my god. It felt like I had to dump an entire mag into some enemies to take them down. At least headshots still make helmets fly. There were several small details I was impressed with too. As I mentioned, bumping into civilians and having them properly react, the cloth physics on other characters' clothing, environmental damage like using a fire extinguisher as a detonation device, being able to shoot a taser's battery off his hip to damage enemies, and even the ability to trade hostages before the assault phase takes place. I'm actually quite intrigued by that change in particular. Hostages were pretty useless in Payday 2, more or less just there to distract one cop every now and then or to trade teammates should they get arrested. Quick side note on that, when you get downed 3 times, you get taken into custody, same as before, except now instead of disappearing out of existence, you just die, and it's It's hilarious. In Payday 3, you can actually trade hostages in exchange for added time before the assault phase begins, meaning you have more time to start or complete objectives without interruption, or to set up defenses. At the end of the heist, you see your XP, new attachment or equipment unlocks, and challenges. So many challenges. The strange thing is you couldn't check any of them to see what you actually did to complete them, or what any of the other challenges were. So you got the satisfaction of doing a lot of stuff, but you don't really know what you did. Good job, I guess. Look, there are some glaring issues with the beta, especially to do with matchmaking and networking, but overall, I did enjoy my time with it, and I am very excited to play the full game. That said, Starbreeze, please use this beta to recognize the networking is atrocious and fix it before the release. I know this is just a beta build, so I'm hoping these bugs have already been ironed out. The Payday 3 beta is still open for another day or two, depending on your time zones. It's free, so get in and enjoy. Fans of Payday 2, you won't be disappointed. Hopefully. No promises. Thanks for watching, everyone. Ensure that red sub button turns white before you skedaddle. Let me know your thoughts on the open beta. I'd love to hear what you thought about it if you gave it a crack. Remember to stay hydrated, and I'll see you next time. Peace.